they're loading waste there. This is what we cart all the waste up here. We stockpile it here because of noise.
Yep.
So they bring it up here, and then we truck it from there either to the surface or over to the mill if it's all the waste, just depending on what it is. We get a lot of noise complaints at night if we take anything out of the box. Alvin portal.
There's aspects of the program that make you question yourself, and question your ability, and question your integrity as a person. But you need to face those questions to have an understanding of who you are and how you operate, and are you good at what you do. And asking myself those questions has enabled me to reassure myself or face some fears and some concerns I had in some areas. Am I good enough to do this? Do people respect me? Do I know what I'm talking about? Those things now, those points have been raised, and those points have been, I'm not trying to hide them anymore. I don't try and hide any of that. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe that person thinks I'm not good at what I do. If that is a feeling or a concern that I've got, I'll go and ask them. Having the ability and having the confidence to ask questions that you might feel uncomfortable and difficult with. Finding out the value in asking those questions has been the biggest revelation for me.
I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be up to the task or up to the challenge of doing it, or wasn't going to be a great leader from the start. And not so much whether I was going to be found out, but whether I was going to be found lacking as a leader to actually go through and finish the training and stay on as a manager.
Well, I've been a foreman at other mine sites. I've been on for about 4 or 5 years, and not once has anyone ever asked me to do any kind of training. So I was a bit nervous at the start, and I thought, is it really for me?
I was apprehensive about it all. That's the first thing I've done in this regard, a leadership program. It's just a fear of the unknown. I didn't know what I was in for.
Well, I suppose the first feeling you could say is, well, I'm pretty good as it is, ain't I? But yeah, as you dive into it and you find out that there is a lot of stuff that you don't know that you're doing. So it's the things that you don't know that you don't know.
When we began the program, we weren't really gelled as a leadership group. So I was walking into a room with my peers who I perhaps didn't know all that well. And I'm thinking, do I have to expose myself personally in terms of my weaknesses or my challenges? And how am I going to deal with that with people I probably don't know all that well? So that was my biggest concern.
I've never been at this level of management before in my whole career of mining. And for me to go and do this course was going to be a learning curve. So whatever I got out of it was going to be a bonus. So for me, it wasn't a hiccup. It wasn't something that felt uncomfortable or anything like that. It was all gain as far as I was concerned.
Well, for me, it was a great experience coming in as a new person into the organisation. It was a really good opportunity to meet the leadership team and really get to know them quite intimately through this process, as we were kind of sharing a lot of personal strengths and areas of opportunity and the outlook that everyone has in the group. So that was a fantastic introduction to the team for me.
Improving the communication skills has also obviously had a massive positive impact at home as well. Understanding that I can be somewhere and be with someone but not necessarily be present with them at the same time. It was something I never appreciated previously. I thought, I'm here, I'm sitting there next to you, so we're communicating, we're relating, but I was just nowhere there.
I found to be a good leader, you've got to have integrity. You've got to, show that you are your word. Didn't always come out that way in my case, but still something I'm working on. But I found that if you give your word and you are genuine with other people within the organisation, whether they're managers, employees, whoever it is, usually you come out pretty much on top and get the job done right the first time.
When we first started, like we spoke before, I wanted to leave because I thought it wasn't for me. Because I thought all the people were smarter than me, but I actually think we're on the same wavelength, which is good. I definitely, like I said before, grew in a lot of confidence. As you know, I didn't like speaking out in front of people. I hated doing that. I can do that now. I stand up in front of groups, so I don't get shy, or it's really helped me big time.
I did judge people unfairly. To see the person for who they really were was a big journey for me to change that viewpoint I had. So seeing others in a different light for me was a big change, and changed my perception of them.
One of the main learnings for me, and I spoke about during the program, was listening to myself, and listening to others was probably some of the key items. So I'm listening to what was said rather than what I think was said or what I want to hear.
My work-life balance, that's a big one going forward in terms of if I'm leading a team of people, that I want them to have a good life at work and at home, that I've got to set the example as well, and so that's the challenge going forward, is how do I do that. And we've implemented a few things in the team recently that will hopefully encourage people to balance their life a lot more.
The biggest thing I learnt in the program was how I could better provide, or how I could improve my level of service delivery to my peers, my managers, because I'm a service provider to them. And what the program allowed me to do was understand more of where they were coming from, which allowed me to apply myself in a way of relevance to them. It also allowed me to connect more personally and individually with them. From that, I could hone my service and make it far more effective than I had before.
Like, we all have jobs and we all have roles here, and it doesn't matter whether you're the cleaner or the manager or the mechanic down in the workshop. It doesn't matter. We all have our job and we all have our role. And I think that role wasn't getting done or done to full potential, where now we're controlling it, managing it and making people accountable for their job, and now they're actually getting the production and reward back out of it. And we're not using any less people, we're still using the same amount of people, but they're more focused with what they're doing and more understanding of what they actually have to do, and not only that, what they're expected of. And I think that's probably the biggest one, well, what's making us successful.
At the beginning probably would have been silos of departments not talking or butting heads or not understanding their part of the business, to being now where a leadership team can come together, understand fully what the other parts of the business are, and then actually using all those all their peers to help solve problems going forward.
The integration that we have now and how we speak to each other and conduct ourselves, there's been a change there where people are a lot more clearer on what individuals are doing, what their roles are, who's accountable for what and what commitments people make, and there's a lot more onus on people fulfilling their commitments.
We're not being ambiguous in our requests. There's less rework occurring. There's less, I thought you were doing that, I'm doing that, or doubling up on the job. There's a clearer understanding of who's doing what when we go into meetings, so we're more productive in meetings. I think we're able to achieve higher quality of work and more of it throughout the day.
Perfect. There's no doubt that the productivity of the mine's increased a huge amount. That's coincided with the implementation of this program, and I think some of that's directly attributable to people being effective and responsible in their roles, and taking accountability for the things that really need to be done. So we've achieved some great production results, but also there's an atmosphere around the place that really seems to be improving the whole productivity of the organisation.
We're probably about 50 metres, maybe 50 metres deep. It doesn't feel like that, does it? No. It feels like you're about 200 metres deep. But yeah, it's probably 50 metres. And that's vertical metres too, like that's, yeah. Straight down. Straight down.
challenging at the start for me. But the last 3 months, where I started to know what I was getting out of it, so I thought I wasn't going to get anything out of it. But once I've realised what I got out of it, totally enjoyable and recommend it for anyone.
I'm using it as my key. All this stuff that I've learnt has become my key, it's my tool, and I'm holding on to it, and I'm calling it the key, endless possibilities. So I'm just holding on to that key, and I'm going to use it as much as I can, because there's 1,000,001 doors, they're going to keep coming at me, and I'm just going to keep opening them.
It's interesting when you start a program such as this, and I think I was sceptical and where were we going with this. What I'd say to any individual undertaking it is that it's a process. It doesn't come at the start, it takes time and takes effort. The rewards come and the realisation of what you're learning comes as you go further through the program. The positivity that came from it grew as it went on. So everyone's walked away from the end of it with something.
I loved it. And that's it.
Fantastic.
Good.